It is you, isn't it? The great D'Artagnan.
D'Artagnan is indeed my name. A matter of my greatness. I think I should leave for others to decide.
The history of your noble action speaks for itself, sir. I have long wished to meet you.
The conventional method would have been to make an appointment, not creep about in my personal chambers. May I ask how you managed to find your way in here?
Made a friend of one of the young maids who brings you your meals. She was extremely helpful.
And extremely friendly, no doubt. Your ingenuity is to be admired. The question remains, why not simply request a meeting in the conventional manner?
Because I desire more than a conventional meeting, sir.
Yes.
Allow me to explain myself. You've been a great inspiration to me, sir. So much so that I sought out the true facts of how you became a musketeer.
The true facts.
Is it not the case, sir, that entry to the musketeers normally requires at least 2 years' training at the academy?
Yes.
But if a candidate performs an act of bravery or expertise that greatly impresses you...
At my discretion, I may appoint the candidate directly to the musketeers of the guard.
As was the case, I believe, when you challenged 3 of the most famous musketeers, Athos, Porthos, and Aramis, to a duel. Whereupon you had an audience with the king himself.
Well, you make it sound very straightforward, young man. But I can assure you there's no shortcut to becoming a musketeer.
But is it not true?
Broadly speaking, is that how the legends have it?
They do indeed, sir. Which is why I, Philippe Gaston, have come here today to challenge you.
You? Challenge me?
Do you accept, sir?
You're just a boy. What age are you?
No younger than you were when you made your challenge to the musketeers.
Put down your sword, Philippe.
I warn you, sir, I will not leave here unsatisfied.
I am prepared, Philippe, to provide you with something far more useful to you than just a duel. It just so happens that I'm in the process of writing my memoirs, something which you have rudely interrupted. Perhaps you would like to hear the actual facts.
Well, if I'm mistaken, I'm sure the actual events were equally as heroic.
Listen to what I have to say, Philippe, and then we shall see if you still wish to fight a duel.
Very well, sir. So, where does the story begin? On the battlefield at La Rochelle? Or perhaps during the war against the Spanish?
How old do you think I am, boy? Those campaigns took place before I was born. My father, on the other hand, was well acquainted with both. I was born in Gascony, far from any frontiers, and as safe from war as anywhere in France. My father chose it deliberately when he retired as a safe place to raise his son.
Was that comment directed at me, sir? I said, was that comment directed at me? Well, I can't see anybody else here, sir, so I don't know who else your comment could have been directed at. My name? My name is D'Artagnan. and I shan't take any more of your lip, sir. Let that be a lesson to you, sir. And don't let me ever catch you causing trouble around Gascony again.
Charles, where are you, boy?
Sorry, Father, I was just attending to the horses.
Tending to them with your sword, were you? You practice with that thing day and night, especially when there's farm work to be done. Have you ever stopped to consider what the meaning is in it all?
To defend myself.
I see. And how much will you charge?
What?
To defend yourself, how much will you charge?
It isn't a profession, Father.
No, it's not. It's not a profession, nor a trade, nor a business. Now, running a farm, that is a profession. But you've never had much inclination towards that, have you?
We get by all right, don't we?
We do. But that's with me in charge. There's always work to be done on a farm. Feeding chickens, brushing horses, sowing seed. And since your mother passed away, there's housework to be done. What will you do when I'm gone?
Are you trying to tell me something?
Yes, son, I am.
Are you unwell? God, how long have you got?
Don't be so stupid. I'm not ill. What I'm trying to tell you, son, is it is high time you decided what to do with your life. You're almost 18. By the time I was your age, I was already fighting campaigns in the Dordogne.
Well, I'll fight anywhere. Just give me a chance.
Give me that. It's time you had a proper job. You won't be needing this anymore.
But you've been teaching me how to handle a sword all my life.
Didn't you ever wonder why? We live in a peaceful province. The only trouble you've encountered around here has been of your own making.
But I've had that sword by my side since I was a young boy.
This toy is not a sword. This is a sword. What do you think?
It's beautiful. Where's it from?
This sword was a gift to me from a man who was once my neighbor, Monsieur de Treville. Does that name mean anything to you?
Treville.
We fought together on many occasions. We fought the Spaniards, we fought the Huguenots, we fought anybody who would make war on the king and the cardinal. This sword was his parting gift to me when we went our separate ways. I retired here to Gascony, while he went on to serve the young King Louis XIV as captain of the Musketeers, a position that he holds to this day.
Captain of the Musketeers.
Where he commands a salary of 10,000 crowns a year. He is, as you might say, a man of consequence. And not only that, he is in part responsible for your very existence.
How is that?
You once carried a very important message from me to your mother, asking for her hand in marriage. We were both on campaign at the time, but he was stationed near to La Rochelle, where your mother lived as a young girl. En route for La Rochelle, Monsieur de Trevillay fought his enemies on no less than 3 occasions. He crossed rivers. He braved forest fires near to Lyon. By the time he got to La Rochelle, my letter was so blackened and burned as soaked as to be illegible. Fortunately, Monsieur de Trevillay was kind enough to appraise your mother as to the contents. And fortunately for both of us, she accepted. And now, speaking of letters, I have written to Monsieur de Trevillay, reminding him of our past friendship, and requesting that he consider you, my son, as a potential member of the Musketeers of the Guard.
Me? A musketeer?
Man-at-arms to the king himself.
Are you sure they'll accept me?
Your strength and skill with a sword is beyond doubt. Your character is a little rough around the edges. You're impatient and quick to anger. Nothing that a couple of years in the Musketeer Training Academy won't cure.
A couple of years? I don't need a couple more years training in how to handle a sword.
Like I said, you are impatient and quick to anger. There is more to a musketeer than just swordsmanship. But no matter. Monsieur de Trevillay is the most honorable man I have ever known. I saved his skin on more than a couple of occasions. He won't forget the debt that he owes to me.
I don't know what to say.
You will need to present this letter to Monsieur de Trevillay in Paris. More than a few days' travel away. And you will need to pay for lodgings while you are there. This pouch contains 15 gold crowns. Keep a close eye on it. There's many a man in Paris who would be happy to relieve you of it. The same goes for the sword, and in particular, the letter. Lose it at your peril. And most important of all, don't let that temper of yours get you into trouble.
Temper? What temper?
You take every smile as an insult. Even a look is a provocation. Your hand is on the pommel of your sword 10 times a day. Even the cows know not to look you in the eye when your temper is raised. I know you have a strong sense of justice. Remember this. Not every injustice is yours to resolve. Listen to Monsieur de Trevillay and make me proud.
Well, sir, we meet again. I must ask you to step aside, sir. I have important business in Paris. Do you refuse to make way? Let me say again, sir, I have important business in Paris with none other than Monsieur de Trevillay, captain of the King's Musketeers. I command you to step aside. So be it.
So I set out on my trip from Gascony to Paris. The journey itself was pleasant and uneventful, which perhaps lulled me into a false sense of complacency. Once in Paris, I soon wished that I'd paid more attention to my father's advice.
Which part of his advice? To keep the letter safe, or to avoid getting into trouble?
Both.
I must say, sir, your story has been rather illuminating. I had believed you to be an example of a man from a humble background such as myself, succeeding entirely on his own merits. Now I know the sorry truth of the matter. It's unfortunate we can't all boast a father with such important connections.
Are you suggesting I owe all my accomplishments to the words my father wrote in his letter to Monsieur de Trevillay?
If my father was a close friend of the captain of the Musketeers...
Well, who is your father? Perhaps I know of him.
You might know of him. I do not.
Ah. No wonder you have such a chip on your shoulder.
You've no right to judge me. Not now I know you got where you were through family connections.
You have no right to make that assumption until you have heard the rest of my story.
Very well. Do go on.
Upon my arrival in Paris, I quickly made an appointment to see Monsieur de Trevillay and found some lodging as my father instructed. Unfortunately, my pride in my father's connection to the captain of the King's Musketeers could not be contained. I informed my landlord of my mission, and he, I can only assume, informed half of Paris.
There was no harm in that, surely.
Such was my thinking at the time. I was soon to learn that Paris was a good deal more dangerous than I had imagined.
Yeah?
Thank goodness I made it.
Sorry?
I can see right away that you are the brave young man that Lando told me about.
I am. I mean, I am. Is everything all right?
No, I am in great danger.
Danger? Tell me more.
Oh, I hardly know where to begin.
At the beginning.
Well, it began almost an hour ago. When a man caught my eye as I was about to enter the Louvre.
The Louvre?
Yes. Have you been?
No, I only arrived in Paris this morning.
Oh, I recommend it.
And what about the man?
Oh, yes. He was most evil looking. He was dressed in the darkest of black, with a scar down one side of his face. Well, he gathered his men around himself and they blocked my path.
With what intention?
Well, you can imagine.
In broad daylight?
Yes, and they made no secret of it. So I turned and I ran at once, but they pursued me all the way across Paris, like a pack of dogs.
I can imagine the type. They ought to be taught a lesson. Tell me, where can I find these dogs?
But they are outside now.
Outside?
Yes, they followed me all the way to this very building. When I came inside in search of someone to save me.
Well, you're lucky you came to me. I'm not afraid of some common villains. How many did you say there were?
4 or 5?
Well, the more the better. You wait here. I'll return once I've vanquished these 4 dogs.
Or 5.
Right.
Wait. In case you don't return.
I will certainly return.
I was so utterly beguiled by the lady, I completely neglected to find out her name, or indeed anything about her. And naturally, the pack of dogs was nowhere to be found. Young fool that I was, rather than determining that the whole thing might have been a ruse, my mind was more concerned with whether or not I might be able to convince the lady that I had vanquished the enemy and what reward I might receive. The lady had disappeared, and so had my 15 crowns, and more importantly, my father's letter. And I had yet to have my appointment with Monsieur de Treville.
What did you do?
What could I do? The meeting was already arranged. Infuriate the man by failing to show up? Search the whole of Paris for a woman I'd barely glimpsed and knew nothing about? My only option was to attend the meeting as arranged and hope to catch Monsieur de Treville in a good mood.
And did you?
Not exactly. I was ordered to wait outside as Monsieur de Treville apparently had a more urgent matter to attend to. Also, waiting to see Monsieur de Treville out of sight to me, but not out of earshot, with 3 fellows I took an instant dislike to.
Do you know what the king said to me this morning? Do you know, gentlemen?
No, sir, we do not. But we do hope you will do us the honor of informing us.
He said, Aramis, that in future I should recruit his musketeers from the ranks of the cardinal's men.
The Cardinal's men? Why?
Because, Porthos, he realized that his thin dregs needed to be enlivened by some good and generous wine.
Thin dregs? To whom do you refer, sir?
I refer, Athos, to you. And to you, Aramis. And especially to you, Porthos.
Me, sir?
Especially you. Why would the king say this, do you think? Because, gentlemen, he had been told earlier in the day by the cardinal himself the tale of 3 musketeers who had loitered after closing time in a tavern on the Rue Férou and were behaving in a boisterous manner and generally making a nuisance of themselves. When the cardinal's guards attempted to arrest the offending drunkards, a fight ensued, which demolished the tavern, causing damage for which I am obliged to reimburse the owner of the tavern. The 3 musketeers in question, having been soundly beaten by the guardsmen, spent the rest of the evening sobering up in the cardinal's cells. On receipt of this knowledge, I, Monsieur de Treville, captain of the King's Musketeers, was forced to ask the cardinal for their release. Does this tale sound at all familiar to you, gentlemen?
All except for the part where you asked for our release.
Yes, sir. We didn't know about that.
Frankly, I was appalled at what I'd heard. These were the King's Musketeers, Back in Gascony, we believed the Cardinal was only one step removed from the Lord himself. Yet here they were fighting with his men in a tavern.
Everybody knows about the famous rivalry between the Musketeers and the Cardinal's men.
I didn't. Back then, such things were only spoken about in private. But I was soon to gain quite a few insights into the private world of the Musketeers.
Surely you three have been musketeers long enough to know of the rivalry between our men and those of His Eminence.
Of course, sir. That's why we resisted. I'm sure you would agree it would have been a great shame if the three of us had meekly surrendered to the Guardsmen.
A great shame was averted and replaced by an even greater one. Can you even comprehend the damage you've done?
I'm sure we can pay for the damage, sir.
I'm not talking about the damage to the tavern. I'm talking about the damage to the reputation of the Musketeers. 3 of my best men, soundly beaten by a couple of the Cardinal's guardsmen.
They did catch us off guard, sir.
And the worse for wear for several drinks, no doubt.
And there was more than a couple of them. I'd say there were 4.
Or 5. Or 6.
Yes, sir. 6 at least.
6. Against you 3. Well, perhaps the Cardinal's version of events is somewhat exaggerated.
We would be most grateful if our version of events could be relayed to the king.
I shall do no such thing. I have already relayed to the king a version of events in which the incident in question involved 3 young musketeers in training, who are of no consequence and have already been relieved of their positions. I am not a man for whom such dishonesty comes naturally. I hope I shall not come to regret it.
Of course, sir.
I don't know who you are, boy. Heaven help you if you're not bringing him good news.
Yes?
I arranged an appointment to see you, sir.
What? Speak up, boy.
I arranged an appointment, sir, to meet with you. Today at this time, sir.
Let me see. These appointments are made on my behalf by others. Perhaps you should just simply make plain the reason for your request.
Well, sir, I come to Paris from Gascony at the behest of my father, who you know well.
I do. I'm not aware I have any acquaintance in Gascony.
Oh, no, sir, you know him from before he retired.
His name?
D'Artagnan, sir.
D'Artagnan! Yes, I remember. You have a letter for me. I'm very interested in reading it. Your father, young D'Artagnan, was an excellent comrade in arms of mine on several campaigns. I'm most eager to hear all about his most recent exploits.
Well, sir, the main reason for his writing was in the hopes that you might be so kind as to accept me, his son, into the ranks of the Musketeers.
Accept you into the ranks? One does not arrive in Paris one day and join the ranks of the Musketeers on the second. One isn't received into the Musketeers without first having passed the ordeal of several campaigns, or performed certain brilliant actions, or served 2 years training at the academy.
Of course, sir, I'm aware of that. But I must assure you I've received all the necessary training from my father.
Sure you have. Monsieur D'Artagnan was one of the greatest soldiers I ever had the pleasure to serve with. If he has shared even part of his skills, I'm sure you will make an excellent candidate. Well, if you'd like to present me with the letter as proof of your provenance, perhaps we can discuss how I might be able to help you.
I would be most grateful, sir.
The letter, if you please. I'm sure you have not come all the way to Paris from Gascony and neglected to bring it.
No, sir. But
Yes?
I'm sorry to say, sir, last night I'm afraid I fell victim to a common thief.
A thief?
Yes, sir. He relieved me of 15 crowns and the letter from my father.
Under what circumstances?
Well, sir, I was approached at my lodgings by a woman who was uncommonly attractive.
Did you by any chance tell anyone at your lodgings that you were coming to see me, and for what reason?
I may have mentioned it.
And did you by any chance mention that you were carrying a letter addressed to me personally?
I didn't think it was a matter of such secrecy, sir.
Your father may have taught you how to fight like a musketeer, but he taught you nothing of the way of the world in which we live. This is Paris, boy, not Gascony. You must be permanently on your guard against all manner of subterfuge. There is many a spy who would give their sword arm to obtain a letter addressed to the captain of the King's Musketeers. Irrespective of what it contained, they will find a way to use it to their advantage.
Monsieur de Treville went on to appraise me of important figures in Paris at the time. The rivalry between the Musketeers and the Cardinal's men, and in particular a man named Rochefort, whom I was to be wary of.
Seems to be a habit of men who become captain of the Musketeers.
What does?
Giving lectures, which nobody requested to hear.
Well, then I advise you to pay attention to this particular lecture. If I'd taken heed of my father's lecturing, I may never have lost that letter. Now, Philippe, if you'll allow me to bore you a little longer, you'll find out exactly why I should have listened to Monsieur de Treville.
Do you mean to say that lady was a spy?
Possibly. Did you say she was uncommonly attractive?
Yes.
Did she speak with a Spanish accent?
I wouldn't know, sir. I've never met a Spaniard.
And was she accompanied by a man with a scar on his face?
She was alone, sir.
And she relieved you of 15 crowns. Perhaps then she was just a common thief. Either way, you stand here before me with no letter and no other proof that you are who you say you are. I can see only two possible explanations. The bad, that you are indeed a spy and have been sent here in the hope that the mere mention of the name Monsieur d'Artagnan would be enough for me to welcome you into the hands of the Musketeers.
Oh, no, sir.
Or, 1,000 times worse, you are indeed the son of Monsieur d'Artagnan, but are so utterly foolish as to have allowed a personal letter to me to fall into the hands of a dangerous enemy who might yet use the knowledge found therein to enact some devious plot against me.
What was the first one again?
The door is behind you.
Sorry?
The door through which you entered. Please close it on your way out.
Yes, sir.
And if you are the son of Monsieur d'Artagnan, my good friend, then please give him my best regards.
Yes, sir.
And my most heartfelt commiserations that he has such a fool as an heir to his once great name.
I just saw her.
What?
The lady who stole the letter. I shall retrieve it and bring honor back to the name of D'Artagnan.
Can you not see where you're going, boy?
Sorry, sir, I was in a great rush.
And will you not also apologize to my friends, Athos and Porthos?
As I said, sir, I was in a great... Athos and Porthos. And you must be Aramis. You're the three who put Monsieur de Treville in such a foul mood. Do you know the trouble you've caused me?
Trouble we've caused you. Do you know who you're talking to?
I do. 3 drunks who spent last night in the Cardinal's cells. Now please, step aside.
3 drunks? Are you going to stand for that, Athos?
Certainly not. Only one of us is a drunk, and it isn't me. I advise you to retract your words, boy.
If one of you calls me boy one more time, I'll...
You'll what? Draw your sword.
Dueling is illegal.
But not impossible.
I don't have time for this.
Ah, the favorite excuse of a coward.
Right, that does it. Name your time and place.
Me?
All 3 of you.
At once?
However you wish it, just make it quick.
You'll accuse us of having an unfair advantage. If a duel is to be fought, it should be one at a time on fair terms. As one of the King's Musketeers, I wouldn't have it any other way.
Name your time and place.
Behind the prison is usually quiet, especially first thing in the morning.
At dawn tomorrow, then, in the courtyard behind the jail. The 3 of us will see you then, boy.
My name is D'Artagnan of Gascony.
Well, what'd you make of that?
I'll wager a crown he doesn't show up.
I'll take that bet.
No longer in a hurry, boy.
Do you still want to duel?
Not here, boy. Public dueling is illegal. Tomorrow at dawn, as we said. Unless you're ready to back down and apologize.
Well, as a gentleman, I'm always ready to apologize should I have offended another gentleman.
The boy considers himself a gentleman.
But I see no gentleman here worthy of my apology. So, whatever you 3 fellows are, I'll see you tomorrow at dawn.
The prison courtyard, then.
I'll be there.
About that bet we made. I was thinking we might change the terms.
And I was thinking, you're going to owe me a crown.
These were the circumstances in which you challenged them? I pictured a more heroic scene, not a bumbling accident.
I didn't challenge the Musketeers at all. It was they who challenged me.
Still, you did accept and promised to take on all 3.
That precise moment, I would have done anything to get them to stand aside. My only thought was to retrieve the stolen letter.
Of course. Did you ever find the woman?
I wandered the streets of Paris long into the evening. But no, she remained elusive. I needn't have worried. Unbeknownst to me at that very moment, plans were afoot for her to find me.
Playing with yourself again?
What?
The chessboard.
I like to play for both sides.
So I see.
The maneuvering of the court is not unlike a game of chess. The bishop moves here, the queen moves there, and I am always one step ahead.
Even of His Eminence?
Everything I do is in the service of His Eminence. You did well to acquire this. And the rumors are correct. The boy was on his way to see Monsieur de Trevelay.
On a matter of any consequence?
Not in particular. He's just a boy from Gascony with dreams of becoming a musketeer. But there may be a way to make something of it.
If he is just an innocent boy, why not return his possessions and leave him be?
We will return his possessions in good time. First, I wish to speak with him.
Why?
He may be a nobody, but he has a direct connection to Trevelay. In fact, his father fought alongside Trevelay and even saved his life. And a man like Trevelay would be compelled by his sense of honor to return the favor. If we could convince the boy to somehow use his influence on our behalf.
What would you have me do?
Bring him to me.
How? He's not likely to trust me a second time.
Return this to him as a sign of good faith. And if that fails, I'm sure you will find a way. You always do. You would do well to remember who I am and who I work for. His Eminence could easily expose your sordid past. And if he did, there would be no way for you to avoid the executioner's axe. You think yourself a queen, but you are just a pawn in this game.
You see yourself as a king.
Of course.
Be careful. A pawn can move faster.
Yes? You!
Please. I only came to return this to you.
My 15 crowns.
And to apologize. You see, I had no idea who you were when...
When you robbed me like a common thief.
I'm sorry.
I should have known it was a ruse.
You're not the first to be taken in. And you won't be the last. There are very few young men as brave and gallant as you that would ever refuse a damsel in distress.
Right. Well, I appreciate your change of heart. Why did you say you were returning this?
Well, when I realized who you were, and your relationship to Monsieur de Treville...
You've read my letter. Where is it?
I am just coming to that.
Well, I need it. I'd sooner have you take the 15 crowns than the letter from my father.
I understand. The letter is safe and will be returned to you.
Yes?
I just ask that you come with me. I have a friend who would very much like to speak with you.
Speak with me? Why?
Well, as I said, when we realized who you were and your relationship to Monsieur de Treville...
Well, you can forget about that.
I'm sorry?
Thanks to you, I have no relationship to Monsieur de Trevelay. Once he realized I didn't have the letter, he didn't believe who I was. Sent me away with a flea in my ear.
But if you did have the letter, would he reconsider?
Possibly. It's my only chance. Everything's been going wrong since I came to Paris. I lost the letter, angered Monsieur de Trevelay, and to top it all off, I have to duel with 3 musketeers at dawn. They'll likely chop me to bits.
You are dueling against 3 musketeers?
Yes, though I had no idea how they got the rank. They're awful people. Athos, Porthos, and someone.
Aramis.
Yes, that's him. How did you know?
Those 3 names are often mentioned in the same breath.
They're well known.
Notorious.
I knew it.
But highly skilled swordsmen, and you're going to fight all three. How did that come about?
I don't know. I somehow managed to get myself into these situations.
Perhaps my friend can help. He has some influence in matters of the court.
You're not a common thief, are you?
This friend of mine has a proposition to make you. It could be valuable.
Well, since I'm not going to become a musketeer, I do need a source of income. If I returned to Gascony with nothing to show for my trip, my father would likely disown me.
Then you come with me. At once. I'm not taking you to fight a duel, D'Artagnan. Such a beautiful blade would be safer kept here, no? You wouldn't want it to be stolen.
Stolen? You're a fine one to talk. You're the only one around here who steals things.
And I'm coming with you. So the sword will be clearly safer here, wouldn't it?
Yes, I suppose you're right. Milady, I still don't know what to call you.
That'll do fine.
What, Milady?
So you fell for the same trick again, even knowing she was most probably a spy?
I can assure you, Philippe, if you've any human blood in your veins, you'd have fared no better than I did against so beautiful a woman.
Perhaps you'll find out what kind of blood runs through my veins. You promised me a duel, remember?
I promised you no such thing.
You said if I listened to what you had to say...
And my story is far from finished. Don't you want to know about the trap I've been led into?
I hope there's some heroism in this story somewhere. So far, it's been a comedy of errors.
I've no idea where I spent the night. Possibly in one of the same cells that held Athos, Porthos, and Aramis the night before. When dawn arrived, I was rudely awoken.
You've done well, milady.
The man with the scar.
Now you must away to England.
His Eminence requires this.
Are you questioning His Eminence's wisdom?
No,
And are you questioning me?
Of course not.
Then do as instructed.
Milady, I sense not all may be as it seems. If you should ever need my help.
I do not believe you are in a position to make such an offer, D'Artagnan. But perhaps someday.
Bring him forward.
Please accept my apologies for my rather unconventional manner of invitation.
Unconventional. Your men are lucky I was unarmed. If I'd had my sword, I would have made short work of them.
I don't doubt it. But now to the reason for this conversation.
You have my letter. Where is it?
Of course,
You'll return it to me?
in good time. First, I have a proposition to make.
Well, I can't say you've made the best first impression.
I'm afraid such measures are sometimes a necessary precaution when you're directly in line to the Cardinal.
You work for the Cardinal? And I presume your name is Rochefort?
Correct. And I am, without wishing to overstate it, the eyes and ears of the Cardinal, both in Paris and beyond.
And what part does the lady play in this?
She is not your concern. Your concern is Monsieur de Trevelay. According to this letter, he and your father were great friends. And if that is the case, that would assure you a place in his favor and a place among his musketeers.
Well, it might have if I'd had the letter.
Didn't Monsieur de Trevelay look upon you kindly?
He did not.
Good. Then you owe him no loyalty. I propose to you, D'Artagnan, if I return this letter to you, you make a second visit to Trevelay. You show him the letter, make any apologies or pleadings, but you make sure you get that place among his musketeers.
But if you're a cardinal's man, why would you want me to be a musketeer?
You will appear on the surface to be a musketeer, but in your heart, you will be a cardinal's man, just like me.
I knew he wouldn't show his face.
Oh, the boy. Porthos.
Sorry, gentlemen. But you know I can't duel on an empty stomach.
There's no hurry, Porthos. Seems our opponent has let us down.
Well, how long should we wait? The sun is up.
Let's give him an hour.
An hour? I was hoping to be done by 6. I have a breakfast appointment.
You've already had breakfast.
This is a pre-duel snack. My breakfast appointment is with a lady.
I also have an appointment with a lady.
What sort of appointment begins at 6 o'clock in the morning?
The appointment began last evening. God willing, it continues again this morning.
All right. We'll give him a few minutes.
So you want me to be a spy for the cardinal?
You will be, to all intents and purposes, a musketeer. You will be on a full musketeer's salary. But you will also have a full cardinal guardman salary.
But still a spy.
There will be no risk to you. All I would require is the occasional report on Trevelay's activities.
To what end?
That's not your concern. Was it not your father's dearest wish that you would become a musketeer?
It was, yes.
But without this letter, that will always be a dream and never a reality. And one other thing, if you are not working for me, I cannot guarantee your safety in a big city like Paris, or even your safe exit from this chamber. The choice is yours.
How many minutes is a few, Aramis?
Just a few more.
You're always itching for a duel, Aramis.
Look, my concern is this. What if the boy arrives late and finds that we're not here? He'll think that we're too afraid to show up, and he'll have half of Paris believing it. What if word then reaches the cardinal? And then the king? You think Monsieur de Trevelay will wait to hear our side of the story?
Or, to put it another way, you're determined to wait for him so that you won't lose the bet we made.
It's entirely beside the point. Half a crown, wasn't it?
It was a crown, Aramis. As well you know.
A few more minutes, then?
I could never agree to such a dishonourable arrangement. And if I see Monsieur de Trevelay again, I'll tell him exactly what you've been up to.
And what makes you think for 1 minute that Trevelay would believe one word you say without this?
No!
Without this letter, you are just a boy from Gascony who will amount to nothing! Clever. You're going to keep this up all day, D'Artagnan? I have a great many candles.
Enough of this!
Deal with him.
Get him!
I think we can finally agree he's not coming.
That means you owe me a crown.
Coward. What did he say his name was again?
D'Artagnan of Gascony.
Not a name that will go down in history with any sort of greatness attached, I can be certain of that. Let's go.
Wait a minute. Is that him?
Running for his life by the looks of things. You finally came then? Where's your sword?
What?
For our duel! You're late.
Sorry about that. I was waylaid.
And who are these gentlemen?
Cardinal's men.
They're not in uniform.
Then we can assume that they're up to no good. I believe I recognize that fellow at the back from the other night in the tavern.
4 of them against 1 boy. Some very fair odds, if you ask me.
4 against 3 sounds much fairer. What do you say, Porthos?
I say you're itching for a duel again, Aramis.
What do you say, gentlemen? If you are indeed from the Cardinal, I'm sure you won't turn down a battle against the Musketeers. Especially with the odds in your favor.
4 against 3 isn't bad. But 4 against 4 is fairer.
Looks like the boy isn't the coward you thought he was, Aramis.
My name is D'Artagnan.
Very well, D'Artagnan. Let's see how well you fight.
I prefer a clean, gentlemanly duel, but I can't deny that was fun.
Are we done here? Surely this was enough of a fight to satisfy even you, Aramis.
Well, there is still the matter of the duel.
What?
This young man insulted us. Called us drunkards.
Said he'd take on all 3 of us, if I remember correctly.
So he did.
But he's without sword.
You can take mine. I'll stand aside until he has vanquished the pair of you. What do you say, D'Artagnan? Are you really as brave as you made out?
You're really going to do it? Take on 3 armed musketeers single-handedly?
I'd say the odds are against you surviving.
I said I would. And I never back down from a challenge, regardless of the odds.
Relax, D'Artagnan. I was merely testing your mettle. I'm glad to know you really are as brave as you said you were. After all, dueling is illegal, you know. If you broke the law, we'd have to arrest you.
Tell me, what was the purpose of your appointment with Monsieur de Trevelay the other day?
I had hoped to join the Musketeers.
Perhaps we could request a meeting with Monsieur de Trevelay. Together with D'Artagnan?
I suspect that once these fellows have woken up, Monsieur de Trevelay will be requesting a meeting with us.
Come on, let's go before any reinforcements turn up. Don't you two have appointments to attend?
I'm not sure I still have the energy.
Perhaps you should send the boy in your place. He seems to have plenty of it.
What's this about?
Never mind.
Finally! This story has some heroism.
I should have known you'd be more interested by a fight in the street than any of the wisdom I'm attempting to impart to you.
So, did the three of you go directly to Monsieur de Trevelay?
Not directly. The first appointment we could get was for the following day, which fortunately allowed me time to return to my lodgings to wash away the smell of rotten vegetables. While I was there, something rather unexpected happened.
Surely not. Milady,
If Rochefort finds out I am here...
please, sit down.
No, there is no time. I am on my way to leave Paris for England on a dangerous mission.
On Rochefort's behalf, I presume. Will you ever escape from his grasp?
Perhaps. One day.
Tell me, what's the hold he has over you?
It is not Rochefort that has a hold on me. It is His Eminence.
The Cardinal? Why?
I am young, D'Artagnan. Not much older than you, but I have lived a long life.
When will you return from England?
I don't know. Maybe never. Which is why I came here. To see you one last time. I see something in you, D'Artagnan. A great spirit. A sense of great honesty and bravery. Something that is very rare in this world. If only things were different.
Yes?
If only I wasn't under the command of Rochefort, and if you were not enamored of the Musketeers, or if we were not on opposite sides of an unbridgeable divide.
Yes?
No. It's impossible. I must go. My being here puts both of our lives in danger.
Will we ever meet again?
I cannot say. Perhaps. But in case we don't. Take care of yourself, D'Artagnan.
Goodbye, my lady.
Let's say au revoir.
We wanted to inform you as soon as possible, sir, before you heard any lies from the... before you heard any alternative versions of events from the Cardinal, sir.
The second case of unruly behavior in as many days. Rolling in the streets like common thugs. You are aware, gentlemen, that the King's Musketeers have a reputation to uphold?
Yes, sir. We really are very sorry, sir.
And that reputation is to be the best fighting force in all of France, for whom no one is a match. Least of all, a couple of the Cardinal's men. Why do you think I was so displeased with you last time? Because you lost the fight. But this, I've truly something heroic to tell the king. Well, he does like a good fight himself, especially if his men are winning. He is, after all, still a young man.
But the Cardinal...
I've heard nothing of this from the Cardinal, which makes me believe that your suspicions that his men were up to no good were correct. If they had a legitimate claim on this young man, I'm sure I would have heard no end of it by now.
The young man acquitted himself very well in the battle.
Really?
Yes, we'd be most impressed by his bravery.
And sense of honor.
2 days here in Paris, and already you have helped defeat 4 of the Cardinal's men, and won the praise from 3 of my best musketeers. If only I hadn't lost your letter from your father, I might have believed that you really were the son of Monsieur d'Artagnan.
But I do have the letter, sir. It's right here.
What's this?
It's the letter from my father, sir.
Monsieur d'Artagnan sent this rag to the captain of the King's Musketeers? Why the devil? This really is from Monsieur d'Artagnan.
Sorry?
How clever of him to remind me of the time that I delivered a letter for him in such a sorry state. He knew that only I would understand its meaning, making it totally useless to a spy.
He did tell me that story.
Wonderful, wonderful. I must tell the king about this. He'll be most amused. Well, gentlemen, perhaps you 3, you 4, should all come with me.
Perhaps you are a queen after all.
She is the most powerful piece on the board.
She's only at her most effective at the hands of a skilled player. Otherwise, she can become surprisingly vulnerable. How was it with D'Artagnan?
Exactly as you'd imagine.
You never fail me. Soon that boy will be completely under our control.
As his Eminence commands.
I have a question, sir.
Yes?
How is it you're able to relate in such detail conversations you were not party to, such as between Rochefort and the lady?
A good question. I later came to know Rochefort much better, in different circumstances. He revealed a great many things which had previously been a mystery to me. Now, if there's anything else you wish to ask.
What became of the lady?
I came to know much more of her as well.
Oh, yes?
But those stories will have to wait until another time. My memoir is only partially complete.
You must at least tell me what happened after your conversation with Monsieur de Trevilley. You really had an audience with the king.
What do you imagine happened? The king was so impressed, he immediately declared me to be a musketeer and had me guarding the royal chamber within a week. He kindly provided me with the opportunity to spend 2 years in the academy training to be a musketeer just like everyone else. Although I will say my newfound friends, Athos, Porthos, and Aramis, made sure the years were filled with adventures of one kind or another. I soon came to know their various differences. Athos was always the most serious and considered of the 3. Aramis always the most keen for action. And Porthos always the first to suggest a drink or a good meal.
And where did you fit in amongst the 3?
I like to think I brought a little youthful vigor to the trio. It was all a long time ago, of course. Aramis went on to become superior general of the Jesuits. Porthos married very well and became a baron. Athos sadly fell from favor in his later years. Now, it's getting late. Perhaps we'll meet again, Philippe, in different circumstances.
I'm not ready to leave yet, sir.
Surely if my story has taught you anything, it is that there is no shortcut to becoming a musketeer.
Perhaps. But it's also taught me something about you, D'Artagnan, which is that you never back down from a fight.
You really intend to go through with this? Young boy against the captain of the King's Musketeers.
Wouldn't you have done the same at my age? You were prepared to duel 3 musketeers at once.
At your age, I would have dueled an entire army if they challenged me. It doesn't make it a wise thing to attempt.
My sword is raised, sir. Refuse me now, and I will have no choice but to relay the news that the great D'Artagnan is no longer the man he once was. Perhaps too old and tired, or afraid to take on a challenger.
Afraid? I have given you enough of my time, boy. The only thing I am afraid of is the thought of having to wipe away the stain of your blood from my uniform.
That's the spirit. You're finally starting to sound like the D'Artagnan of old. Now, let's see if you still have the skills.
Very well. I warn you, boy. A duel with me might prove fatal.
Then if I survive, I'll consider it a victory.
If you survive, you can consider it a miracle. I did warn you, Philippe, that a duel with me might prove fatal.
If I was afraid of death, I wouldn't have come here in the first place.
Or perhaps you simply know, as a musketeer, I would never be so dishonorable as to kill an unarmed man. However, I could most certainly have you arrested. Breaking in, making threats, starting a fight. You get 2 years at least. Or perhaps you would prefer to spend 2 years in the academy, training to be a musketeer, just as everyone else has to, including me.
Yes, sir.
I'm sure we'll meet again. Once my training was complete, Monsieur de Trevilley kindly granted me a few days' leave to visit my father in Gascony.
Charles, I knew this day would come. If only your mother could see you now. Did you follow my advice and stay out of trouble?
As much as possible.
And Monsieur Trevilley, did he appreciate my letter?
He got the gist of it.
Well, in any case, I see it did the trick. And have you made any friends amongst the ranks?
Yes, 3 in particular. Athos, Porthos, and Aramis. And now I'm equal to them in rank, I'm considered the 4th.
The 4th? The 4th what?
The 4th Musketeer, of course.